A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, seeking the blessings of the Almighty. On behalf of the hosts for this evening, Shalini and Raju Daswani, a warm welcome to all the corporate leaders, philanthropists, and guests from various countries gathered here this evening. We would also like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Himanshu Gupta from the Consul General of India. We extend a hearty welcome on behalf of everyone to Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, the social and spiritual leader from India, spearheading a unique mission which exists to spread love through the various free service initiatives across 33 countries. I would like to thank the host for giving me this opportunity to host this event, aptly named One World, One Family, which transcends borders, languages, and cultures. For those who don't know me, I'm Renu Budrani, and it is with great joy and profound gratitude that I stand before you today to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome. The reason I'm standing in your midst today is only because of the impact this mission of service has done to my own heart. By extending a helping hand, by believing in the oneness of all, we begin to recognize the value of every life, regardless of where one comes from or their station in life. It is an affirmation that we are all connected by our shared hopes, dreams, and struggles. We are gathered here not just as individuals, but as a diverse and vibrant community bound by a common purpose, the preservation of life, the relief of suffering, and the empowerment of individuals to pursue their dreams and contribute to society. I would now like to invite Mrs. Shalini Daswani to deliver the welcome address. She has been the powerhouse behind this event, and along with Raju Daswani and other like-minded individuals, have been a part of various philanthropic initiatives spearheaded by Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. She's one of the pillars as well of the Feed Hong Kong initiative, which is part of the global Feed the World initiative of Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, which feeds needy individuals who simply don't have the means to enjoy the most basic human requirement of 1 square meal a day. Shalini?
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to each and every one of you here. My husband Raju Daswani and I are very grateful for your presence this evening. Truly, it means a lot to us. At the very outset, I would like to extend my gratitude to Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai for accepting our invitation to grace this evening. Sadhguru has been the inspiration for me. Renu Budrani, sorry, getting emotional. He's been the inspiration for me, Renu Budrani, and so many others. And he reminded us that even the smallest act of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating positive change. Sometimes we may not realize it is in our busy everyday lives, but ladies and gentlemen, from my personal experience, just a simple act of feeding a hungry person is a reminder that we have the power to transform lives and uplift our community. It is all about seizing opportunities to make a lasting impact, not just in our lives and for our lives, but also in the lives of those we can help. I believe in the power of togetherness and in the power of collective action. Together, we can achieve remarkable things. Thank you very much once again.
To ensure happy, healthy, sustainable, and meaningful lives for all, Sadhguru has been encouraging all of us to embrace and embody the idea of kindness and compassion in the spirit of one world, one family, which is an idea from the ancient Indian scriptures. At his mission of service and spirituality in the fields of free morning nutrition, free health care, and free education, this idea is being practiced every day by serving many hundreds of thousands of patients, students, children, the homeless, the hungry, and indeed anyone in need of a meal. We will now have a very short video on the service initiatives carried out by Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai in various parts of the world, including Hong Kong. Please enjoy it.
Create an equitable society for the future generation. One world, one family. An ancient ethos that ensures happy and harmonious living is the mission statement of the young humanitarian philanthropist and visionary Sri Madhusudan Sai, who walked the talk by touching and transforming millions of lives from around the world in just the last 11 years, precisely across 33 countries worldwide. Nutrition, education, and healthcare are fundamental rights of every human being and every child, and it is the collective responsibility of the society to ensure that these basic needs are made accessible and available for all without any discrimination and absolutely free of cost, is the mission statement of Sri Madhusudan Sai. The purity of intent behind this mission was itself enough to strengthen its momentum, and it grew into a humongous service organization founded on spirituality, drawing its inspiration from Sri Sathya Sai Baba's message of love all and serve all. Thus, it all began. Today, in the field of education, this mission has established about 28 educational campuses in India and 3 campuses overseas to bestow values-based education completely free of cost to about 5,000 children from the rural strata of society from grade 6 right up till doctorate studies. The Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, which is the higher education wing, has established India's first free medical college, Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, on the 25th of March 2023, and it was inaugurated by the Honourable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi. The college molds rural youth into capable and compassionate healthcare professionals to serve rural geographies. The university celebrated its second convocation on the 3rd of July 2023. Srimati Draupadi Murmu, the Honourable President of India, presided over the convocation and gave away gold medals to 17 students and conferred honorary doctorates to 5 eminent individuals. About 50% of these students are first-generation graduates, and about 66% hail from families that are below poverty line. On the healthcare vertical, over 26,900 pediatric heart surgeries and cath interventions have been done since inception in 2012 through 5 tertiary care hospitals in India, the Sri Sathya Sai Sanjeevani Centers for Child Heart Care in Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Telangana and Karnataka, and 2 such hospitals in Fiji and Sri Lanka. It is the world's largest chain of pediatric cardiac hospitals without billing counters, which have saved the lives of many thousands suffering from congenital heart diseases. Conducting research, academic and training programs in pediatric cardiology, nursing and allied healthcare services are other functions of these hospitals. 5 specialized Sri Sathya Sai Sanjeevani Mother and Child Hospitals, 5 Sai Swasthya Primary Care Wellness Centers, Sri Sathya Sai Arogya Vahini Mobile Hospital Services for rural India are also serving the sick and needy. The Sri Sathya Sai Sarla Memorial Hospital is a completely free of cost multi-specialty hospital, which is also the teaching hospital for India's first free medical college at Karnataka in South India. One of the most important and in fact the first and foremost area of foci of the mission was nutrition. Healthy morning nutrition in the form of cooked breakfast or through the Sai Shore multi-nutrient supplement is served to over 3 million school-going children every day in 23 states and 5 union territories in India and 5 countries overseas in the name of Annapurna Morning Nutrition Program. Since 2012, 516 million servings have been provided. Feed the World is yet another global nutrition movement that has served about 5 million meals to needy homeless individuals in over 15 countries. Let no one go to bed on a hungry stomach was a simple yet a powerful call that galvanized volunteers of this service organization to do whatever was needed to ensure the basic right to healthy nutrition is met by all. Hong Kong, which is known as Asia's World City, was specially identified for this feeding program with an exclusive Feed Hong Kong initiative that took an administrative shape under Feed Hong Kong Limited in the year 2020, the times when the heat waves of COVID were flailing through the terrain of planet Earth. It started with serving packets of food for dinner to 50 beneficiaries every week through the establishment of Feed Hong Kong Kitchen. Slowly and steadily, it expanded in its capacity to source, prepare, cook, pack, and distribute over 3,500 meals, along with care packages every month to street dwellers, cleaners, aged population, and indeed to anyone in need of a nutritious vegetarian meal. Most of these needy beneficiaries are being referred by various NGOs, Christian associations, churches, charitable groups, providers of similar services, and by word of mouth. A rumbling stomach needs to be cared for isn't it so relatable in each of our own personal context? Hence, it is the collective responsibility of the society to be sensitive towards the needs of our fellow men, no matter who they are, and help each other in the spirit of brotherhood. In fact, Sri Madhusudan Sai has established 12 centers for human development in about 11 countries across the world to spread the message of oneness through love and service. He says, quote, "In a society, it is always about the survival of the weakest and not survival of the fittest. We must develop this sensitivity towards the needs of the less privileged and must hold ourselves responsible for each other. Only then can we create an equitable society for the future generation." Unquote. Thus, onus is on each of us, for the inevitable truth is that society's collective prosperity depends on every individual's prosperity. After all, we are one connected whole.
Many people ask as to how all these projects across 33 countries have been established in just a short span of 10 to 12 years, and more importantly, how they are growing so rapidly every day, strength to strength, country to country, without any commerce involved for the beneficiaries. When I personally visited the epicenter of all these service initiatives in India at Mudanali, which is about 20 minutes from the Bangalore International Airport in South India, I found the answer. The answer is when passionate individuals with their strength of service are united in their thought, word, and deed, and dedicate their lives to the cause of societal transformation, practicing with conviction, braving all odds, and believing in the equality of existence, irrespective of caste, creed, status, gender, religion, and geographies. Lives of people are touched and transformed. So many of you have already started this journey with us. Here we would like to acknowledge and thank Mrs. Parviz Shroff, who unfortunately could not be with us here today, but who has contributed so generously, especially to the opening of the Sai Sanjeevani Children's Hospital in Fiji. Our appreciation also to the Rotary Club of Kowloon Golden Mile and the Hong Kong Indian Women's Association for their continued support to so many of our projects. A big thank you also to Town Gas Hong Kong Limited, who have very generously provided us with all the appliances and equipment we required to service our Feed Hong Kong kitchen. So thank you all. And Finally, our gratitude to all the countless individuals and volunteers who have always been there for us and enabled the success of Feed Hong Kong. And now it's time to delve into the stories and experiences of how these initiatives of Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai we just saw are making a profound impact on millions globally. His tireless dedication to the betterment of humanity is touching countless lives every single day. So without any further ado, may I please invite Anurag Bhatnagar for the most awaited part of the evening, Heart to Heart with Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. Anurag is a well-known face amongst the corporate circles and is a popular fireside chat host who has interviewed many celebrities. Please welcome Anurag.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. One is a relative, the other stranger. Say the small-minded. The entire world is a family. Live the magnanimous. These are verses 71 to 73 in chapter 6 of a very ancient text, the Maha-Upanishads. In Sanskrit, two simple words, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, encapsulate this very philosophy. Translated into English, the world is one family, or one world, one family. The theme and the logo for India's G20 presidency from December last year to November this has a mention of Vasudev Kutumbakam. What better way to tell the rest of the world that this is our philosophy, that this is ingrained in our culture, and that we truly, truly care for our global family. And there is no better individual, ladies and gentlemen, who not only embodies this, but has also dedicated his life for this value. He has said that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, and I quote, is the only way to make the world better here and now. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, please welcome Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai ji. Before we begin, Sadhguru, first of all, thank you very much for giving us the time and the opportunity to be with you. Before I start the questions, would you like to say a few words to all those who gathered here today?
I think two words, thank you. They've come all the way and they've decided to spend this evening with us. And I'm very aware that you're all very busy people. And yet you have decided to come and share your time with us. So we're very grateful. And that also shows that they truly resonate with this idea that we ought to look beyond just ourselves, our families and our communities into the larger world where there's so many more of our brothers and sisters waiting for our help. So unless they all thought this way, I'm sure they wouldn't have come today. So I'm very grateful to all of you on behalf of the entire organization, on behalf of countless numbers of individuals across so many countries who are benefited every day due to generosity and help of so many like you across the world. And I'm looking forward to this evening, spending time with you and answering a few questions for all of you. I hope that will make us become a little closer than what we are right now. And we become a family by the end of this evening. One world, one family is what we said. This is the beginning of our Hong Kong family. So thank you, Mr. Bhatnagar, for hosting. And thank you to everyone, including Feed Hong Kong Limited, Raja, Shalini, Renu, and everybody else who is part of this initiative. So first, the real thing that I want to say is thank you at this time.
Thank you, Sadhguru. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to listen, to learn, and an integral part of learning is asking questions. And there will be a segment where anybody in the audience who would like to ask questions can directly ask Sadhguru. Swami, you have dedicated your life to making the lot of the less fortunate members of our family better through your three verticals: nutrition, education, and healthcare. But before we get into those, I would like to ask you about your early years, if I may. You were born in 1979 in Bilaspur, which is present-day Chhattisgarh. I read that your grandmother and aunt were ardent followers of Sri Satya Sai Baba. You joined Baba's educational institution, and you have said that you felt a strong connect then. My question is, Swami, what was or is the spiritual connect that led you to a life dedicated to the service of humanity for all these years?
Right, you've got most of the facts right. It was my maternal side of the family, the grandfather, grandmother, and others who were very devoted to Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He's a well-known figure who has the most important contribution of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, as observed by the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, is that he freed the idea of ritualistic worship from spirituality and connected it to greater social good of all. That's something that Bhagwan Baba brought about. And when I joined his institution, I was just 17 at that point in time. I joined the university for my undergraduation in sciences. And that's when I learnt about his work and his philosophy, his message. And I realized that it was the right thing to do at that point in time. As you mentioned, Chhattisgarh is an underdeveloped state in India. It's a central part of India. It's a lot of tribals live there, and the people do not have access to many of these basic necessities like food or education or good news. Otherwise, why would I travel all the way to south 1300 kilometers to study in another institution? Because it was free. Baba's educational institutions do not charge any course fee. And more than that, Baba's idea that everybody should be given an opportunity, that really touched my heart. And I saw and met so many other boys and girls like me who were benefiting from his very philanthropic institutions. And that's when I learned more about his philosophy and message. And his message was very simple. He said, love all, serve all. It can't be simpler than that. When all means all, it's easy to love those who love us, it's easy to serve those who serve us. But he just said, even those who cannot love us, even those who cannot help us, we ought to love them too and serve them too. And that really resonated with me. When I saw his institutions in South India, each of them were offering services totally free of cost to the poorest of the patients, to the children, right from school all the way till their postgraduate programs, and a massive water project to bring drinking water to millions of village people in very dry, arid districts of South India, and perhaps by far the largest privately funded water project in the world. So this all touched my heart, and I instantly decided when I was there, when I saw him and his aura and his messages and his love for everyone, I thought that the right thing to do in my life would be to dedicate this life for his cause of serving his people. And that is something that I made up my mind about while I was studying. And I sought his permission to join him and work for him and be a part of his mission. But he decided at that point of time that maybe I was not ready for it. So he told me to come back again and we'll meet later. But by the time the comeback happened, he had left his physical frame. And I was at a loss, because he had promised me that he would come back and he will tell me what to do with myself. And meanwhile, I was just spending time, just passing days doing some work. He made me join a banking institution in Bangalore, and I worked there for some time. But when he was not keeping too well physically, that's when I got very nervous that what am I going to do? Is he going to stay or is he going to go? And what am I going to do with my life? So I always was praying and seeking his guidance. And in his own way, these personalities are much beyond just their physical frames. And those who believe in Indian spirituality, they know that we just don't live only once. And our life is far more larger continuum. And this lifetime is just one of the many. And so Bhagavan being Bhagavan, a spiritual master, he made his appearance in a subtle way. And these are very yogic things, and you meditate, you focus on such great beings, and they guide you. And that's how his guidance started coming to me, and he guided me onto this path of service. And he guided me to this mission. And under his divine guidance, we started in a small way. Actually, we started with very few small schools. And then more people joined who also were waiting for such an instruction or guidance, perhaps. And slowly, as time passed, around the world, thousands and thousands of joined hands. And this is how this mission grew to this size that it is presently today. And it became a platform for goodness. All good people who wanted to do something, alone they were not probably having enough capacity or courage to do it. But when they met more good people, they got more confidence to do things. And that's how now we are in more than 33 countries. It's just a matter of a little more than a decade. And we serve probably 35 million people around the world in various ways. And children, almost 3 million children are served breakfast every morning in India in government schools. We have thousands of children in school all the way till university, as you just saw. We have a medical school which started just this year. And it was very much appreciated by the Honorable Prime Minister as well as the President of the country, because that is the need of the hour. Many of the children cannot access this higher education. They come under student debts and they spend a lifetime only repaying these debts. And they never come out of it, Even a developed country like the US, I was told the student debt alone is around 1.7 trillion US dollars. And that's very scary to look at. So these are all the solutions that we thought that we could help the people with. And I think when we give something to somebody with love, without any considerations, without any expectations, selflessly, we create an act of gratitude in that person. The person may not be able to repay us then and there in the same coin, but some point in time when such a person is capable of doing something for others, he will remember the help that he received from us unconditionally. And that would probably trigger off a kind of a series of such acts of goodness. And I feel that ripple effect is what will change the world. So that is Baba's philosophy: you love all, serve all. But how? I believe this is how we do it. When we say we love you, we also serve you, and it goes with it. Because we cannot look at people and say we love you, but we cannot do anything about whatever you're going through. And that's not love at all. That's lip service. So then it translates into service, and that's how we came to Hong Kong too. Shalini and Raju Daswani were very good friends. They visited us in India, we met them, and they learned. They are also devotees of Baba for a long, long time. And they resonated with this cause. So then we thought, what can we do here? And they asked, what can we do here? Of course, they support, and through their friends, they support these hospitals, colleges, across various parts of the world, including Fiji recently. But more importantly, they asked, what can we do in Hong Kong? I said, I do not know Hong Kong. What does Hong Kong need? You look around and you'll find out. And just then COVID was, right around the corner. And that is the time when I said people may need food. Please look for opportunities to serve those who cannot get food for them. So especially the elderly. And they started this Feed Hong Kong program, which is a part of a larger Feed the World program, which we started in 2020. So our idea is to make sure that nobody goes hungry to bed. At least that is the basic common minimum every human being deserves. In a world which is $100 trillion GDP and all that, you cannot have hundreds of millions of people going hungry. We have not created the right kind of world then. So our idea is to sensitize more people, make them aware of the difficulties that other side of the world is going through, and help them channelize their energies, resources to kind of uplift that side of the world, that part of the society as well. So that is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam idea. And one should do it because one is bound to do it as a family when you feel the other person is yours. So all this is the essence of this mission. And it started in a small way, but it's like a river which starts like a trickle from the mountains. But by the time it reaches the ocean, it has become a huge flow. So that is how it has begun. I am sure this is a little stream starting today here in Hong Kong. And it will grow into a mighty river soon.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I'm sure Feed Hong Kong will grow and has plans to grow into a much, much larger in terms of numbers as well as reach geographically. These acts of kindness, Sadhguru, these acts of love, if you would, you've mentioned that they stem from spirituality as well. For us to be able to understand a little more, how does spirituality play a role in deeds of kindness or charity? Because you've mentioned, I think, in one of your discourses, that it is very important to understand spirituality, religion, and philosophy. And that what leads to deeds like this. So could you elucidate a little more on that?
I'll be happy to do that, because I think religion, spirituality, all these are the most misunderstood and abused terms in the present day times. And one must have a clearer understanding of what it means. Spirituality is the very fundamental essence of all life and living, according to me and according to Indian scriptures. If I have to just say in one word, it is the oneness of all existence. That is spirituality. Now, what do I mean by oneness of all existence? We all are different people, diverse people from different cultures and different countries. How are we all one? So our Indian thought says that beyond these forms and names, the facade that we have, I'm a man, a woman, I'm rich, poor, I'm educated, uneducated, there lies this one common unity across all of us. And that is the thing that we must celebrate, the oneness, the unifying factor within all the diversity that we see. That is something that we should celebrate and acknowledge and live accordingly. That is spirituality according to India. Now, what do religions do? They only teach this, how to find this oneness, how to find this unity, and how to live accordingly. So they give you certain pathways, certain protocols, a process to go through, so that you come to this conclusion at the end, that we are all one. Now it sounds like a lot of philosophy, but let me give you a very simple example. When we all feel hungry, do we feel the same hunger, or we have a Chinese hunger and a Hong Kong hunger and an American hunger, an Indian hunger? We all feel the same hunger. The pangs of hunger are the same. We may eat different things to satisfy that hunger. But are we not one in that hunger is the question. We are one. The hunger that you feel, your child feels, or the hunger some Nigerian or African or Indian or American feels is the same hunger. When we go to sleep, we go to the same sleep. We don't have different sleeps, even if we have different beds and different rooms. Even the animals and birds go to the same sleep, right? When we sleep, we all become one. We have lost all our identities and all differences. So also in our joy, so also in our happiness. In every aspect of human emotions and experience, we can find this underlying oneness which exists, not just in humans, even in animals and birds. And if you have the ability, you can even feel it in so-called the matter, which our yogis, so-called I call them spiritual scientists, the yogis, they have found that oneness too. So even at a very basic physiological level also you see the oneness of all our existence. So how can I not feel for another person who is hungry? Because I have experienced hunger. I know what it means to be hungry. I know what it means to not have food. And I should be able to sympathize with the other person. That is the unity between you and me. If you take it you extrapolate it to a bigger dimension of consciousness, what we call as consciousness, which means everything is conscious in this world. And scientists are now slowly getting there. Now they talk about unified field theory and string theory and things like that, which talks about some underlying oneness, some connection between everything and everyone. So that is the spiritual idea of oneness. But what I mean to say is that even if you cannot understand that high-end philosophical idea of oneness as consciousness within all of us, try to understand it from basic needs. Let's begin with hunger and sleep and the basic emotions. We all feel the same thing. So that underlying principle of oneness is spirituality. Now, how do I express that? How do I live when I know we are all connected, we are all one? I have to behave accordingly. And what is the behavior? I will respect everybody, I will love everybody, I will help everybody, I will not hurt anyone, because we are all one in some way. And that is the idea of service. So spirituality and service are two sides of the same coin. Where does religion fit in? Religion teaches us how to do it. I can't just immediately feel it or understand it. Like there is gravity. I don't understand. I experience gravity every day, but I do not know it is gravity till I go to the school and somebody tells me, when you throw a ball up and it comes down, that's because of the gravitational force. I go through a physics lesson and learn Newton's law, and then I know this is gravity. Likewise, we are all experiencing spirituality at all times as our very existence, but we cannot pinpoint and put a finger and say, this is spirituality. So we go through a religious school, and that school teaches us, all the emotions that you experience, all the kindness and compassion and love, we all experience together. That is spirituality, like that is gravity, and this is the law of the universe. So a religious institution is ought to teach only so much. But unfortunately, over a period of time, religious institutions took a political side of it, and then there were divisions, and that became the real reason for conflict. But it's just like a school which is not doing its job well. So religions are like schools, and spirituality is the very subject, the knowledge. And all schools ought to teach that there is only one gravity that exists. You cannot call it Chinese gravity, American gravity, Indian gravity. That's not allowed, because there is only one earth, there is only one gravitational pull. Likewise, all our existence is one. That is what all religions are supposed to teach. And all the other things that happen in religion, you go to a certain temple or a mosque or a certain structure, you meet a certain teacher and do certain rituals. These are like various rules and regulations of the schools. The medium of instruction, the dress code, the timing, this timetable, all these things are the minor details. But the larger idea is to learn that we are one. And when we feel that oneness, we will live accordingly. And in that, how can my hand hurt my other hand? It won't, because that if I hurt my left hand with my right hand for whatever reason, I'm actually hurting myself. Or similarly, when I'm talking to you or sometime I'm eating, I can bite my tongue. It happens. I don't punish my teeth, right? I don't break all my teeth off saying that, no, I don't need you because you bite me. I know we are one. So when you know this spiritual truth that we are one, we become very compassionate. We become more concerned and more sensitive to each other. And that idea all religions must teach. Unfortunately, as I said, over whatever be the original thought, over a period of time, religions have not done great job of their teaching of spirituality. And they lost themselves in the lanes and bylanes of politics and so many other minor and selfish considerations. So today we have whatever we call it as religion is something that nobody wants to subscribe to. In fact, when I came last time, and Mr. Raja took me around the Hong Kong town and was showing me things, and I saw there was, I think, some Buddhist monastery was there, very old one. He said, this is very old one. I said, that's nice. Then I saw some church on the way, a nunnery and things like that. Then I asked, what is the religion that people in Hong Kong follow the most? He said, Swami, people of Hong Kong follow no religion, the majority of them. I said, but how do they exist if they don't even believe in a higher power and God and things like that? Because for me, being an Indian and living in that kind of environment, it's very difficult to understand. He said, but most of the people in the world, I traveled to Italy, which is the kind of the home of Christianity. I have traveled to Middle East, I have traveled to US, so many places. Youngsters are running away from religion because they don't find any sense and logic in what the religion is telling you. But spirituality makes sense to all of them. So now you'll see all these Facebook posts, I am spiritual but not religious, whatever they understand. But the Gen Z or whatever the next generation is very questioning kinds, it needs answers. So now religion has to reinvent itself and teach spirituality as oneness of all and religion as the method to realize that oneness. That's all. Whichever path, goal is one. And what do? When you know that all are one, you serve the people. So I see youngsters now joining hands to volunteer. They're happy to come and work and volunteer. But tell them to sit down for an hour and do some ritual and they will run away. But they're okay to, they even, in fact, they're more charitable and philanthropic than the older generation. You ask them, there is some cause and we need crowdfunding. All of them come together to do something. Even in our schools, I see that. Somebody is not having something, 10, 20, 30 rupees, whatever. Everybody wants to contribute. But most of the people run away from religion. When you tell them, no, you have to join the Sunday church, or you have to go to this festival in the temple, or you have to attend these ceremonies and prayers, they'll find an excuse not to do that. And I'm sure you must be experiencing that. So this is the idea of religion. Religion is the school that must teach the subject of spirituality, which basically is the oneness of all existence, and it should encourage the people to serve and love each other, because this is the knowledge that they have gained out of religious practices. So that is more or less the substance of it.
Sadhguru, if I can push the envelope a little further, with what's happening around the world today, there is polarization based on many things, religion, being one of them, and perhaps being one big one today. Is it necessary, therefore, that religion and spirituality be so inextricably linked? Or can the two exist without each other? So, my question would be, can one be spiritual without being religious?
Organized religion and unorganized religion, there are two things, you see. In the organized religion is where I found a lot of lacunae in terms of not teaching spirituality right. But whatever you do, for example, you go and practice a certain art like singing. What do you say? I'm religiously practicing it. What do you mean? You're not following rituals, but there is a protocol, there is a methodology that you're following with which you attain perfection in whatever you do. So religious word is coming from a Latin word religare, which means to bind people towards something or together through some socio-cultural or whatever value system. So when we call ourselves religious, we are not really talking about the organized religion in terms of whatever the number of religions in the world are existing at this point in time, mostly founded after the demise of the Messiah or the prophet or the teacher of that faith. But we are talking about a way to do things. So religion should be just a way to do things. So if a youngster comes and says, no, I do not like going to a certain particular institution, but I would nevertheless every Sunday morning be available to you to participate in your program, Feed Hong Kong or whatever. In some ways, practicing a method to realize the same truth of spirituality. So he cannot be labeled as a religious person because he doesn't subscribe to the organized school of religion. But nevertheless, he is religious in his pursuit to know the truth. And that's why he's still a religious person. But nevertheless, he's not going to the school. He's doing an online learning or something like that. He's on his own. He's not admitted to a particular school. So he's not a school-going child. Yet he's a child who's learning. So he's still a student. So whom do you call a student? Only those who go to school or anybody who is willing to learn in any which ways. So that is how. Whom you call religious? The one who goes to a religious institution, or is very dedicated to the idea of knowing the truth. Both are religious, in fact. So my idea of religion is that it is a more flexible thing. You must have some rules and regulations, otherwise you will do it one day and you will not do it another day. Why we send our children to school? So that they are disciplined. No, they will do the same thing over and over again and learn new things. If you leave the children at home, what we did in COVID times, you know how difficult it is to keep them disciplined. So therefore, these institutions are necessary when you do it in an organized way. But even otherwise, there is a way out. And I always say, God is not dependent on religion. God is independent of all that. And if God is the idea of oneness, and spirituality is independent of religion. However, religion can assist you in knowing about that truth. It's like knowledge is independent of schools and textbooks. Textbooks and schools are dependent on knowledge. But to be knowledgeable, schools, textbooks, teachers, they do help. And to that extent, organized religion helps. But otherwise, anybody who puts efforts consistently to know the truth is a religious person in his own way. That is how I would think it is.
Sure, sir. Now, spirituality, and you also mentioned within spirituality, existence and oneness. So I was watching a video of yours recently where you talk about the transience of life. And this is what you said, a water bubble. And ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting. A water bubble is born in water, floats on water, and ultimately bursts and becomes one with water. It merges in water. But while it exists, it never thinks of itself as water. While it exists, reflections on the bubble seem true. To me, very spiritual, very profoundly beautiful as well, this whole thing. In our daily humdrum of lives, how does one break the myth that the reflections are actually merely that, reflections or illusions, and not real? And if those are not real, then what is real?
We're getting into some deep spirituality over here. I'm not sure people are prepared for this, but I'll try to answer it in the simplest possible way that I can think of. So Mr. Bhatnagar is borrowing from a discourse recently which was talking about our existence in this world is as ephemeral as that of a water bubble. You know, we are made of water, but we don't call ourselves water when we are a water bubble. We call ourselves a water bubble. And bubble is more emphasized than the water part of it. Because we want to identify ourselves as somebody, someone. See, that is the idea, right? We all have a personality. We have an individuality, and we celebrate that individuality. That is how the world is designed. We all want to identify ourselves with certain skills, certain abilities, certain ideas, certain belongingness, and things like that. And that's why we feel safe and secure. So the water bubble feels very safe and secure when it is existing as water bubble, but it doesn't know that it can burst anytime. COVID has taught us a lot of water bubbles burst, and without our knowledge they burst. So I think the COVID was a great spiritual lesson for us, because you had your dear and near ones here today and tomorrow they were gone. And what was it? All the love, all the affection, all the relations, all the dreams and aspirations, they all disappeared. They disappeared just as like a water bubble. So our existence is quite ephemeral. That's what I was trying to drive home the point to people. So don't pay so much of attention to it, that you live every day thinking, oh, you have to safeguard all the reflections on the water bubble because that's all your possessions are. But a water bubble doesn't possess all the reflections. It appears that the reflections happen because of its existence. The moment it bursts, the reflections disappear, it becomes water. So that is the Indian philosophy of ephemerality of all existence. But what I'm trying to say, that in a country or a city like Hong Kong, where there are materialistic pursuits are there, you have businesses to run, families to manage, you have careers to take care of. And of course you need, as long as you live in the world, you need means to live. So my question is that should we just say, no, all these are reflections and we become a monk and, walk out of this whole thing? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying live as a water bubble as long as it is destined to be. But remember that this is temporary. You can't leave behind a permanent mark on water by being a water bubble. You cannot. So all things disappear at the end. So only give so much importance to everything, Don't ruin your daily joy and peace and happiness in pursuit of all these reflections which may not exist tomorrow. So my whole idea was that to tell the children of our university and our people that yes, you need to have a career, you need to have a family, you need to grow well, you need to have means to live a respectable life in the society. You must be able to provide for others also. Everything is well and good as long as you remember that these all can burst. And you may not stay there where you are today. With that idea, engage with the world. I always tell it's like checking into a hotel. You come to a hotel, you check in, you enjoy all the facilities that are there. There is a pool, there is a gym, good food, the room service, and the nice curtains and shower and even the cutlery and things like that. But at the end, can you take even one of it with you? You'll be called a thief if you even try to do that, isn't it? So the world is like that. I say that you come here, you spend your time with your loved ones, with your friends, you do the things that you need to do. At the end, you must leave all this behind and go. You may say, no, I'm leaving for my friend, I'm leaving for my children, I'm leaving for my grandkids. But even they will have to leave it behind for somebody. They cannot keep it forever. So the idea of our existence is as temporary as that. This is what I was driving it towards. And how do we live in this world? Being aware of this ephemerality and transience. Do whatever needs to be done. Don't be so particular and peculiar that whatever I do must remain. It won't. Whatever you try, it's like writing in the water. It won't remain. And so just give so much importance. People are ruining their health and happiness and family and relations and everything for the sake of pursuit of all these things. To them, this is the message. Now give it only so much importance and not more. Just because you have money, you can buy more medicine, it doesn't mean that you eat more medicine than what doctor has prescribed. It will become poison. So also everything in this world. In limits, everything is good. Unlimited pursuit, mad pursuit of things is no good. And that is the idea how far these reflections last.
I think that's particularly relevant in a city fast paced and as materialistic as we live in. Fascinating as it is, but I think I'll pull back a little because we don't have that much time, Renu, do we? So I'll pull back a little bit from spirituality. Your role, Sadhguru, is obviously based on your vision of one world, one family, based on which you've created these three verticals: nutrition, Annapurna, education, and various institutions that you've established, from schools to now a medical college. I think the first of its kind in the world that is going to be tuition free. It's absolutely free, and it will take in students that would belong to a economically weaker sections of society, if I understand that correctly.
Yes.
And the third, obviously, is healthcare, where hospitals and clinics. Now, when you're running these, and there is also a plan for expansion, and what I understand is in the past 10 years or so, about $250 million is something that have been spent. And everything that you spend, the people who benefit from it, you don't charge a single paisa from it. My question to you is, how do you manage that? How do you raise the funds? How do you manage doing that?
Yeah, I think that this question had to come some point in time, I'm sure. And as I mentioned to you, I believe in this power of selfless good. I believe that when we are doing something totally selflessly, we do find help. And there are good people in the world who are willing to do their bit. There are good people in the world. It's not that the whole world is so selfish that nobody cares for another person. It's not so. I have traveled and I've met very good people. And mind you, we never started with big corpus or funds in hand. We just went by what was the need. For example, when we were learning a small girls' school, a girl walked up to me and told, Swamiji, if you don't upgrade this school into a high school, I won't be able to get an education tomorrow because my father will not be able to pay for my education in another school elsewhere. Do something about it. Then I called our trust and told, see, this girl asked for a bigger, higher education school, and because she says that otherwise she wouldn't be able to study. And we were only up till 10th standard, that caters to an age group of 15, 16, but higher education wasn't there. So then when we started talking to more girls, we realized so many of them will drop out if they do not have a higher education, like university, because they cannot afford. And there is income, you'll be surprised that the family income will be like 500 Hong Kong dollars with this family of 4 children and a wife and a husband. They cannot survive. They can't pay for their education. So I told, why can we do a higher education institution? And first reaction was, no, how are you going to find funds for it and things like that? I said, see, I do not know about that, but I do know that this child will be out of school and there are so many girls. In fact, when she joined, we opened the higher education afterwards and we found the funds, we found the people to run it. It all happened eventually. Of course, it required a lot of hard work, which we did. But this girl who joined later, she told me that in her village, from her class, all other girls have been married off except her because she got to come here and study. And when she went for her holidays, she told 2-3 of them, the children, they're already mothers at that age, carrying babies in their arms. Because of us, she did not have to go through that because father said, it's all right, I don't have to pay for your education. You are not a burden to me. I don't have to pass the burden on to the in-laws. So you continue. So that is how we built another institution. How did medical education come about? In a similar way. There was a girl of our cook, in the hostel who cooks. His daughter wanted to be a doctor. She said, I saw pregnant women being carried in bedsheet stretchers across the hills for delivery. And many of them died on the way because of bleeding, because of delays and things like that. And I thought, I want to be a doctor and serve these women. But I don't know English and I don't know how to pay for my education. I said, if you work hard and you qualify for the exam, then we will definitely support you. With that girl, we started. We supported her. 7 years down the line, she's a doctor today and works with us. This is the story of one girl, of our cook. This led us to the idea there are so many more waiting for this to happen. So let us begin in a medical school. But then again, the question came, it's a huge infrastructure, a lot of requirements. How do we do that? I said, we will talk to more people. We'll talk to more people. I'm sure there are people who might think this is a good idea. So we went around the world, talked to so many people. And as I said, all this has happened through the help of thousands of them from around tens of nations. It's not just India. In fact, most of it has happened because of the people who have done well abroad. So they brought what was needed, the resources. We made sure that it is used very well. We don't waste any money, and you'll be surprised that when we build the medical school, our project manager here, he's here, Bharat, he told me that our project management cost was 0.00004% because we managed it all in-house without wasting money on so-called project management teams and things like that. So we did a lot good, and therefore what work we have done, at the face value it may be that many millions, but actually it's worth much more. But what is the model? How are we going to run it forever? And are we going to sustain it? Yes, we are working very closely with people who are philanthropic, organizations, foundations, governments, who can support us at least partially, if not completely. And that is an opportunity for everybody to do. You and I individually cannot open medical schools in how much ever we wish that we want to help people. But together, we can run a school. So that is the idea, and I'm very glad to tell you that today the first batch of 50 students have joined. Some are children of priests, some are children of farmers, some are children of shopkeepers, some are children of carpenters. And that is the profile which is looking forward to becoming doctors. And when they become doctors, I'm sure they'll go and help those poor people. They won't charge them. Why would they? Because they did not pay for their education, it was free. So they don't have the pressure of earning the money back. And that is what I'm looking forward to and I need everybody's help. I'm quite open and frank that I need every one of you in it. So the more of us we get together, the more good we can do to the world. That's the only way forward.
Sure. Should we throw open the floor for questions that people might have? While we move the microphones around, just to give you a context on a little bit on what Sadhguru said about costs and things. Think about it. The cost to feed one child per day, which Sadhguru's ashram is doing, is 30 Hong Kong cents. 30 Hong Kong cents. To educate a student, 1 cup of Starbucks per day. That's all there is to it. Anybody questions? We don't get this opportunity very often when the Sadhguru is sitting here. So please feel free, whatever the questions may be, spiritual, otherwise. Yes, sir.
This is slightly personal. I feel or believe that in the modern world we're all functioning unconsciously. We're just moving. The pursuit of consciousness is how you move on in your spiritual journey. How does one recognize through one's efforts when they're trying to reach this consciousness that they are there or they're almost there? Because in this journey you face a lot of resistance. Your change, your ideology will be criticized, judged, ostracized. So how do you recognize that when you're reaching your real consciousness?
Very good question. How do I know I'm even progressing, even if I'm working hard? How you feel inside, not how you feel outside, how people make you feel. That's not the measure of whether you're progressing or not. How you feel inside. One thing that I tell everybody is that when you're getting closer to that truth, what happens, what changes you undertake, what happens within is, you become more and more peaceful, you become less reactive. That is the first symptoms of progress. You become less reactive, more responsive. You don't react impulsively to anything, be it a happy thing or be it a very sad thing. Either extremes. You don't really get kind of carried away by emotions. That is the first thing you'll start seeing, that you become a calmer person. You're able to see things from a distance and respond correctly. And how do you know you're progressing? Every time you go through a fluctuation, a situation, a particular event or incident which can throw you off guard, or maybe you also lose your balance, no problem. But how quickly you come back to that original state of calmness. Earlier used to take a month to overcome all the anger and frustration that you went through. Now you're in a week you are okay with yourself. Maybe another time you are just, it's a matter of a couple of minutes and you're centered again. And later it doesn't even happen. You don't even fluctuate. You are always centered. So as long as this is happening to you on a daily basis, you're progressing. So that's the only measure. I cannot measure from outside. Of course, people around you will also feel calmer and nicer. But more than anything, is like how much have you eaten and whether your hunger is satisfied. I can't measure it from outside. You have to tell me from inside that I feel good, I feel satisfied. So when you're more peaceful and any time a fluctuation happens, you come back to that zero, you come back to that center. How quickly you do that, that's the measure of your progress. And when you can stay there forever without getting disturbed, whatever happens around you, you know that you have arrived. So that is the journey. You want to ask a question? Yes. Please. The mic, please.
Hi, Swamiji. Thank you so much for your wonderful insight. You talk about the cultivation of attachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that do not attach to the fruit of your labor. In today's world, how do you strike a balance between striving for something and also letting go of something at the same time, simultaneously?
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita does say, that's the most famous shloka, we all know that. Karmanyavadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Ma karma phalaheturbhu. Mate sangostu akarmani, it says. It says that do not desire the results. And just because you cannot desire for the results, don't stop working. People do that. And what am I going to get out of this? Bhagavad Gita says nothing. You have only right over the action and not on the fruits. Then why should I even perform the actions? The next question. So Bhagavad Gita was careful in cautioning us in the second line of the shloka that it doesn't mean that you stop working and you become lazy and lethargic. That is not allowed as well. So that is the essence of the shloka. Now what he's asking is that when do I give up the fruits and when do I not? You have to give up the fruits at all times. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you work the whole month and you get a salary check and you say, this is the fruit of my 1 month's labor, I'll give it away. I'm not saying that. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. You give it away like that. It only says the attachment to that. Why do you get a salary? You need to live. You need to feed yourself. You need to feed your family. You need to look after your loved ones. You need to pay your taxes, whatever. So you need a salary. But as long as it is serving the need, Bhagavad Gita is perfectly okay with it. The moment it crosses the boundary and goes to the greed side of things, now you want to work 2 extra hours every day. Why? Because you make a little more money. Why you want to work? Because you want to make money. Why you want to make money? Because you want to do something with it. Then there is this endless pursuit. So that's where Bhagavad Gita says need-based desires are perfectly okay. Everybody is entitled to their needs in this world, from a little insect, a worm, to the king. All are entitled to serve their real needs. Of course, king's needs will be different from a need of a worm. That also has to be appreciated. You can't simply do a straitjacket thing that everybody should eat only 1 meal a day because that's all is the need. No, it's not true. Their requirements are there. But so you have to find. And how do you know whether you're living according to your need or you're living according to your greed? When you live based on your need, you're at peace. You're at peace. You feel the peace within. When you don't feel the peace within, either you're having less than your need or you're having more than your need. So you ask yourself, which way it has gone? Am I having less than what I need to eat? That's why I'm hungry and restless. Or have I overeaten today? And that's why my stomach is upset. That question you have to answer. I cannot answer for you. But when you're eaten just right, you're at peace. So less also will not be good, because you cannot function in this world peacefully. More of it also is no good, because again you cannot function peacefully. So you must find that peace, that balance. And that comes when you live according to your need and not according to your greed. So Bhagavad Gita only draws that border line and says that live according to your need. Whatever action you perform, that's the very material level I'm talking. Whatever results come out of it, if as long as it serves your real genuine needs, you're perfectly okay. Go ahead. Don't have to feel guilty. I got this out of my work. And if it's more than your need that you have got, then don't keep it. Use it for something good. That's also fine. It's not that somebody says you're doing very well, I'll pay you double the salary. No, I'm Bhagavad Gita follower, I just need half of it. Doesn't work. You say, yes, you can pay always, because if you think that is what my position demands, by all means. What will I do with the rest of it? That is your choice. You say it is beyond my requirement, my need, so therefore it can serve somebody's need better. So that is still okay. So the idea of detachment is that, not to reject the fruit of action. Then how will you perform any action in this world? The idea of attachment to what you don't need. What you need is perfectly okay. God will be happy with that. But don't take more than what you need. And that is the idea of Bhagavad Gita. In a very simple term, in a philosophical way, because you're not even in the doer in the first place, the same one consciousness that performs all the actions. So what is right do you have any which ways over anything? So that is the very philosophical side of it. But in a material worldly way, yes, if it's more than your need, you don't deserve it, you don't need it, then you don't get attached to that. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Anybody else from the audience? Do we have some time?
Sadhguru, this question is about, it's always said that you need some time to be silent over a day, in a day rather. But how do you control or manage your wandering mind?
That's true. We can shut our mouth but not our minds. And that's very difficult. But most of the silence that we want to practice is actually of the mind. Many people practice the silence of their mouths, and they're horrible. Throughout they torture people with gestures and signals, and people are actually, they make life more difficult for others. So our scriptures, they do not really talk about maunam, that is the silence of the mouth, so much as the silence of the mind. The vrittis, the thoughts that are coming and going continuously, they have to be kind of reduced. So how do you control the mind, and how do you do that? First thing is that if you have too much in your cupboard, throw away something that you don't need. How do you clean the cupboard is what you're asking me. I say first throw things which you don't require. Keep only so much that you require. In that way your cupboard is well arranged, it's neat, and you're not so disturbed and hassled by it. So I call them a classification of thoughts. You have rajasic thoughts, tamasic thoughts, and sattvic thoughts. So try to get rid of those rajasic and tamasic thoughts. Tamasic means inertia, laziness, lethargy, cruelty, all that comes under that. Rajasic thoughts are a lot of greed, desire, passion, and that is the rajasic one. And then sattvic thoughts are those which are pure, calmer, nicer, compassionate, and things like that. So first you classify your thoughts in the mind. For that you need to spend some time with yourself every day. It's like cleaning your your desktop, a desk, or the cupboard and things like that. So you classify your thoughts and say, these are unnecessary thoughts. These are some things of the past that keep coming back again and again. It's of no use today. It's like your past clothes which are not required in your cupboard anymore. Just throw them away. Throw those thoughts away. That is the first step. Similarly, some things that are only required at certain times and not all the time, keep them aside. Keep them in the lower shelf somewhere. You don't need it every day. That you classify and distribute your thoughts, and then only keep those good thoughts on top. These thoughts, even if they are there, they are not disturbing ones. So even if they are there, they are there silently sitting in a corner. And they don't really disturb your day-to-day work. So first classify, then discard. Then your mind will already be very peaceful because it has very few thoughts. And those few thoughts are helpful thoughts. So we should not get rid of all the thoughts any which ways. So your mind is relatively calmer and relatively silent. But when you want to experience that conscious state, of silence, then you have to even subdue those sattvic thoughts. It's a thoughtless state. That again requires, as I said, if you have less things to throw out of your mind, your already job is half done. And whatever left is there, they're not troubling thoughts any which ways. They're not the thoughts of regrets and disappointments and anger and frustrations of the past. They're not thoughts of big future plans and desires of the coming times. They're just day-to-day things that you need to deal with. So you're already, sorted. And whatever little is left, it won't disturb you much. Even those can be slowly subdued and kept aside and used whenever you require. So that is a process. That is the process of meditation, and that we can practice. But pranayama helps a lot in calming the mind down. So do a lot of deep breathing, because the breath and mind are connected. The more you breathe, or faster you breathe, the more it disturbs the mind. It's like fuel and the fire. So breath is like the fuel. So the more fuel you put in the mind, the more breathing happens. You get restless, and then more thoughts and more agitation. So try to breathe slowly. You can't do it all the time, but at least some time of the day. So that's why I tell you have to spend time with yourself every day. We want to spend time with everybody, but most important appointment for the day is appointment with yourself, and that we miss all the time. But that's the most important appointment. You must take that 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever is possible for you. Sit by your side, just with yourself, and try to categorize, classify what's going on in your mind. Just observe it, distribute your thoughts, classify, discard those which are unnecessary, keep only those which are necessary. Already you are sorted, your mind is calmer. And then to go to that thoughtless stage is very easy, because you have very little to deal with. That is a process. And I have talked about it in one series of lectures called Master the Mind. They're just 1 hour lectures, but 30 of them. So it's a month-long process. So first month you just learn to observe your minds and classify your thoughts. Next month you try to discard those which are unnecessary. Third month you try to observe the good thoughts and utilize them better. And fourth week, I mean to say in a month, you try to even transcend all the thoughts and try to attain that state of thoughtlessness. That is very calming. You can try that. That's on YouTube. Master the Mind.
Swami, I have a question. So we're usually encouraged to invest our money, to buy property, to buy stocks, to buy crypto, to multiply our money.
Yes.
Is that considered greedy, or should we just be satisfied with our usual income?
Okay. His ambition, greed is what he's asking. Now, if you see, everybody plans for their life, right? You have 2 kids. They'll grow up, they'll go to the university. You must plan for them. That's a part of your duty. That's not greed. As long as you plan only so much that is necessary for your kids and your retirement, and whatever, as you're aging, you decide to have a investment portfolio, everything is okay. As long as it's need driven, as I said. Now, okay, fine, you want to send your child to the best of the universities, the most expensive one, that is also still okay. Now, beyond that, why do you need things is my question. Beyond that, why you need things? Then why do you drive yourself crazy trying to get more than what is required? So also, these risky investments you will avoid when you are not greedy. You will only make so much investment which is good, decent, and it will give you decent returns without much risk. Because I have seen people lose money, in the name of investments and things like that, but they're actually greedy. And they want to make more money than what is logically or organically possible. And then they end up in trouble. So as long as it serves your need, again I go back again and again, what is your need? I go to US. I don't know, Hong Kong may not be true, but when I go to the US, I see this and I commonly observe this. They live in 8-bedroom and 10-bedroom house. All that is mortgaged. They don't have their money they didn't spend on that. They just borrowed from the bank. Now what do? They live in one room of that 10-bedroom house in a very posh location up the hill. They use only one bathroom, and they hardly eat at home because they have no time. They wake up, get ready, and rush to their offices and grab a sandwich or a cup of coffee on the way. That's all the meal that they eat the whole day. And they work in a 10 by 12 cabin throughout the day continuously, and they come back at the end of the night exhausted, and they crash on the bed and they're gone. They don't even know what size of the room that they're living in, what is on the wall and what's on the floor. They wake up again and start this cycle. Then I ask them, you drive 2 hours up and down, you work for 10 hours, you hardly get any time to spend in why did you buy this 10-bedroom house? You actually did only 2-bedroom house. You could have downsized your lifestyle. You need not have worked 10 hours, 12 hours to pay for the mortgages, and that would have been easier on you. He said, it never occurred to me, Swamiji. It never occurred to me that I could live this way also. I just thought everybody lives in this locality. Everybody of mine is doing the same thing. So I'm just blindly following. And now you make me understand. Why am I paying for those 8 empty rooms to the bank? I don't need them. But I'm working those extra 3 hours every day to pay for those 8 empty rooms. Maybe I can do better. So suddenly there is a shift in thinking. So that is what I mean to say, need-based versus greed-based. Simply don't follow the crowd. Just because everybody does it, you don't do it. You do what you need. Again, everybody's need is different. A CEO of a company may need a certain way of lifestyle. Somebody else may need a certain lifestyle. So according to your lifestyle. But don't go, you know where to draw the line. When you cross over to the greed side of things. And how do you know you're greedy? You're not at peace. You're overeaten. So how can you sleep peacefully? Your stomach troubles you. So you cannot sleep properly. You're always anxious. But when you're doing things right in the proper way, you're never anxious. You're never losing peace. So these are some simple things that you can do. And by chance you're a windfall gain, you don't need it ever. Please think of those who can't even get a meal today or can't get education. Maybe you can use it for their sake. And again, you will find peace in that. Otherwise, excess money will always keep troubling you. Where I can invest, what can I do with it? You'll lose all the peace. They say if you want to make somebody's life miserable, give them 99 rupees. For that 1 rupee's sake, that beggar will lose his sleep. He won't see the 99 that is in his pocket. He'll look for the one that he does not have. And that is how the world is.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Anybody else? If there's, all right. A question, Sadhguru, for you. All of us, have a plan. All of us have a goal. What is your plan, goal, vision, so to speak, if I was to ask you?
The bigger vision that I work for is I really want to see a world that is one family. And how will it happen in my lifetime? I do not know. But I work every day towards that one goal, to make more and more people feel for each other. That's my higher goal, because I know that is the only way we can leave behind a better world than what we received. And that is the legacy that we must leave behind. So that is the larger purpose. And you cannot be a family unless you are also spiritual. A family is based on a certain value system. If all the members of the family share those values, then you are a family. Otherwise, family will break apart. So what is the value that this one world, one family should share? The value of spiritual oneness. That is what I am trying to teach everybody. We should become a family. We should share this value of spiritual oneness. And once we know that, we know what to do with each other and what to do with ourselves. We become kind to each other. We help each other. And nobody goes to bed hungry. Nobody is out of school. Nobody is sick and dying without health care. Nobody is homeless. Nobody is shivering in the cold. Nobody is sorrowful. That is the world. I know it's a big, tall order, but that is something that we have to work towards. That is the bigger idea. But what do I do on a daily basis? I just wake up every day. I thank God that He has given me another day. It means God still trusts me with His work. He thinks I am still worth His time and His attention. And so I do what needs to be done today. I sleep. I thank God again. And I apologize for what I might not have done right. And I thank Him for whatever I could do right today. And go to sleep. And if He wakes me up tomorrow again, I know I have work to do. And I live as simple as that, one day at a time. And therefore, I don't get overwhelmed by these projects and these huge size of things.
So you've expanded from India. You've done work in Nigeria, in Fiji, in Australia, in the US. Have you gotten any assistance from the local authorities in these countries? Because at the end of the day, responsibility for the people lies with the people who are in governance.
Yes. A very, very relevant question again. As I mentioned to you, at the very beginning, we just started it off on our own, because there were not many takers, not many people who knew or believed in what we were doing. I'll give you one example like that of Fiji Hospital. When we went to Fiji, we saw children were dying of heart problems, congenital heart diseases, and there were no hospitals in Fiji in its all history. And the nearest hospital was in New Zealand or in Australia, but it was way beyond the means of those Fijians to even pay for that surgery. The government was sponsoring some surgeries in a year, but that was very less compared to the number of patients, children who were waiting for a surgery. And some aid agencies, some foundations, once in a while they would come and do some surgeries, but it wasn't sufficient. So what did we do? We asked the government that we run pediatric heart hospitals. Is there anything that we can do together? The government said, we don't have the wherewithals to help you set up a pediatric heart hospital. If we had, we would have set up one. But we are a small country with limited income and limited means. We cannot think of a super specialty like this. So we said, how can you help us? Can we work together? They said, you tell us what you need. I said, give us a piece of land to begin with, and we will start thinking how we can build. So they gave us a piece of land. That's to government's credit. And we started building the first pediatric heart hospital. It took a good 2 years to build because of the COVID times. And in Fiji, you don't get anything just like that. Everything is imported. Nothing is manufactured. especially high-end equipment. So it all came from Germany, from US, from Australia, from various other places, India also. And when all that came together, the government was happy. But we said, now we have achieved the first milestone. We could gather a lot of people to support, like I mentioned to you, the Rotary Club here, even the families like Daswanis and many others who have supported the Fiji hospital cause. So we built the hospital. Now for running the hospital, we again went back to the government and said, we spent a couple of million US dollars to build the hospital. Now the next thing is that can we share some of these costs together and work together? At first they were not prepared for it. It took some time. It took 2-3 years for them to actually process this whole thing. And finally, I'm very happy to say that at this point of time, we have an MOU with the Fiji government to serve the children of Fiji for their congenital heart diseases, and they reimburse us, or they have given us a grant for the year for certain amount. I'm not saying it covers the entire expense, but it covers a great deal. And that helps us to serve more people. So it all starts like that. You begin the project, you begin it all by yourself with the help of a few people. You prove the concept, you show the results, and you show the benefit that the people are receiving. That's when the governments get galvanized. And then slowly they also start participating. So this is the model that we are trying to do. But it requires, it's like making your first initial investments, You have to put your neck on the block first. Only then people trust you that you're serious about what you're saying. And for that, I need the initial support from the people. But slowly the model is evolving. As we keep working, many other organizations are coming forward. And they are saying that, okay, we wanted to do this, but we did not do it because we didn't have the capacity. Now that you have already done so much, let's join hands and we will also support you to some extent. So Rotary Club is a very big support in India as well, I must tell you, which they sponsor a lot of child heart surgeries. And they have taken a target of by 2025, they want to sponsor 2025 surgeries. And they are somewhere, on the way right now. So this is how people start joining hands. Governments are joining hands, but governments, albeit a little slower to respond than others because they have so many other things on their agenda and list. But we are trying to sensitize governments. Sri Lankan government, for that matter, has got sensitized. This time when I went to Sri Lanka, they agreed that for the next year, up to 1,000 procedures, the government of Sri Lanka would provide us with the whatever the consumables and other, even manpower and things like that. They will use our facility, but they do the work for their people through using their doctors and their staff. We will only provide the venue, the equipments and the facilities. So this is a new model which is evolving, and I welcome that model, that more people can join hands and do. Even in India, government has programs for nutrition. Again, they don't have the agencies to deliver that at the doorstep of people. So they need grassroots level agencies like us. And that's how we are partnering with them as well. So slowly it's developing into a very participative model. And I call it as a 3S formula. In Hindi, it is Sarkar, Samaj and Samstha, which means the sovereign state, the society at large, like all of you, and the social service organization. All three should work together. It's a tripod. And then it can happen. So we are trying to do that. I'm sure with the passage of time, we will find more involvement and participation from governments.
A question. Oh, Mike here? Oh, back there as well? There's another
Swami,
question.
can you tell us when and how did you get these spiritual powers?
I have no spiritual powers, let me clarify. Otherwise, you would be imagining that I am having a lot of powers and I kind of, have a magic wand or something like that. No, I don't have any. I have only one power, which is of love. And that is what I learned from Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba. He told us love is the most powerful force on earth. And with that, one can achieve anything and everything as one decides. So my whole idea of spirituality or whatever we are doing is because we are doing it out of love. And love makes things happen. You call it miracles, I call it just the manifestation of love. Whatever I do or say or think, and if it manifests, I know that this is love which is manifesting itself. So I think I would rather insist you please focus on developing selfless love for all. And that's very powerful. The only thing that you can't do is use it for yourself. So it's that power that you can only use for others and you can't have it for yourself. But nevertheless, you feel the joy of doing it, and so you never feel any less compared to others.
Yeah, thank you very much. A quick question. Your impact on healthcare and education is impressive. I wanted you to share a little bit about your passion to encourage entrepreneurship.
I know I met you, so you know about that. what I saw in India, especially in the rural India, they're very talented and creative children, but they don't have the right platforms to express their talent and convert it into a commercial venture. So they're always dependent on somebody to help them. But I told you can help yourself. You have enough creativity, enough talent, and you need a little guidance. So I'm very big believer of entrepreneurship. I think everybody born on this earth has some skills, some talents to contribute to the society. But unfortunately, it is not recognized, and even if it's recognized, it doesn't get the right kind of support, financial or mentorship, or some kind of a right environment to do that. So if we can provide them places where they can try out their skills and probably convert it into a decently profitable venture, that will create a lot more jobs at the bottom of the pyramid. More people will get engaged in economic activities. Then we don't have to worry about who will feed them, who will educate them. They can do it for themselves. So we started a program called India Startup Festival with a group of very, very motivated and passionate entrepreneurs. And they take up this mentorship for small-time rural entrepreneurs, you see, and help them to build their businesses. And that helps them further to look after themselves and their communities, create jobs, which government alone cannot do, nor we can do. As the permanent solution is that if everybody is capable of earning a good living, why would they need agencies like us to go and feed them or look after them? So that is the idea, to create more jobs and through entrepreneurship at the rural level. So that is how we are working, and I'm very passionate about it. If some of you think you should participate in a program like this, which can encourage rural entrepreneurs, especially in countries like India, where youngsters are in plenty, but they have to do something with themselves. They can't just sit idle all day. But if they have an idea and you can mentor it, it can pass through a filtering process, which the organization does, and then brings the right kind of people to the right kind of ideas and makes sure that that converts into something economically viable. So that is also we are doing as a part on the sidelines. I would say that's not the main project, but that's on the sidelines. Yes, please.
Okay, I have a question. I'm Brazilian, and I saw in the presentation you have something in South America, but I was not sure which country that.
We are largely in Argentina. Yeah, Argentina in Buenos Aires. We have a center, which is a multi-faith center, and we try to promote religious harmony and multicultural kind of an approach to everything. We work with a lot of local organizations. This apart, we also do a lot of values education program there, which teaches people about human values in schools, in colleges, and we also do some bit of feeding program like what we do here, especially for the homeless and the weaker sections. But we have a plan to come up with a hospital in Argentina as well, but maybe at another point in time. Yes.
Sadhguru, I have another question. We've talked about the various initiatives, we've talked about the money, we've talked about things. A very important resource is people. So tell us a little bit about the kind of people who join your foundation or join with you to get all this done, and how people who are here may or may not have the means or resources to contribute financially, but personally, can they get involved in any way?
Yes. Now, you said it right. People are the most important part of any organization. And governments have resources, but if they don't have people, they cannot deliver care. We have a lot of people who joined us because they resonated with this cause. They felt that is something that's their heart's calling too. They want to do something about it. Individually, they may not be able to do so much, but collectively, we can achieve so much more. So that's how we found people. But largely, many of these people originally are people who are already doing service in their own way. They had their foundations, organizations, or even as individuals, they were devoted to the cause of service, either through Bhagwan Baba's works or in their own individual capacities. So when they found us, they immediately kind of, felt that they should be a part of it, and that's how they kept on joining. But I'm very happy to tell you that in India, our organization's average age is just 28 years. So that means we have a lot more youngsters who work with us as volunteers or as permanent staff. Few of them are here too. And they are all very well-educated people. They were having corporate careers. But somewhere down the line, they felt that what they were doing was not really what their heart wanted. They wanted to do more with themselves. We get only one lifetime to spend here like this, and they wanted to make the best of it. So they said they had many choices, but their choice was to do something good for the whole world. And when they felt that this is the right organization, they joined us. Some of them are very young. They're all here. Actually, Bharat is there. He's our project manager. He's here. He's an MBA. And I don't know, how old are you, Bharat? 42. 42. You're taking up the average age. Yeah, so, but he's somebody who takes care of projects, and he's behind the medical school project, and he achieved an impossible feat of just doing it within 18 months, and even the people were surprised, and that is at a very, very cheap cost, without compromising on the quality. He made sure that all efficiencies were built. So like these young people are there. And why did he join? You have to ask him, but I'm sure he joined because it's his heart's calling. He has two little, very young kids. One is just 3 and one is 8? 9. Yeah, so so they all are family people. They are just like you and anybody else, but they have taken to this path. Likewise, I've found so many of them, and we have this university which produces graduates, and these graduates join us back as teachers, as administrators, and that's our strength. Because while you said, while money is one part of it, but if you don't have right people, you cannot create a legacy, you cannot create perpetuity. It will end some day or the other. If you have right kind of people, they'll continue this. So I call it a jana and dhana. Hindi words are there. Jana means people and dhana means resources, money. You need both to run organizations, but between the two, more important are people. And we have found the right kind of people. They're very passionate, and because of that, this organization is growing with leaps and bounds every year. So I'm sure many of you would also feel that this is something, if you had known 10 years ago, it would have been even better. Maybe you would have jumped in straight then. But it's never too late on this spiritual path. That's another big assurance that Krishna gives. Never too late to start. It's always, today is the best day to begin this. So don't worry if you didn't start earlier, start today, start now. And as people, simple initiative like Feed Hong Kong is there, or anything else that you find on your way, that this can also be included in the program, can be done. But I always say do it collectively, because when you are doing it collectively, you can do it longer. When you do it individually, it goes through its spice. They say if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk for a long distance, walk together. So that is how you can join Feed Hong Kong, or anything else that you think you can bring to the table. We can discuss that, and then that can be taken up. But right now, I told the Feed Hong Kong people that numbers are growing. You have some permanent staff as well, because it's all them doing voluntary work, but very strenuous to cook for thousands of people. So I said, you please get some permanent who are capable of cooking that numbers, and then you also support, and distribution can happen. And you should experience the joy of doing it. Once you experience that, you will get addicted to it. So I'm cautioning you. It comes with a warning that service is addictive. And the joy that comes from service is truly addictive if you really experience that joy. So participate in whatever way. And I would also like to invite you to India. Any point in time that you think you can come, a plane load of you, we'll be more than happy to receive you and show you around as to what we do, how we do, why we do, and who are the beneficiaries. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And I will request Raja and Shalini to probably invite them once with you. It's just a flight away. I was told there's direct flights to India. You can sleep and wake up in India, something like that Raja was telling me.
On that note, Sadhguru, unfortunately, we're running out of time. It's been indicated to me a couple of times already, and I could go on, honestly. So thank you so very much again for sharing everything that you have with us. And ladies and gentlemen, before I hand you back to Renu, I'd just like to leave you with one message. When we all came in with expectations, and I hope this interaction has imbibed in us the qualities or the values that the Sadhguru embodies and stands for. I hope when we leave from here, all of us will be a little better person, and you are able to spread the word around. And please take up Sadhguru's offer. I know I'm going to go and visit them in India. Thank you very much. Over to you, Renu.
Well, I'm certain many of you...
Thank you.
I'm certain many of us got many answers to questions that have always intrigued us. We thank Sadhguru and Anurag again for that thought-provoking and very enlightening interaction. Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you for another big round of applause for Satya. Now, as we embark on this well-being journey together, let us come together and collectively embrace the lives that we can save, the families that we can support, and the communities that we can strengthen together. Let us celebrate our diversity and unity in pursuit of goodness, kindness, love, sharing, caring, oneness, not only for ourselves and our families, but for all. Because it is only in societal progress that we as individuals can also progress. After all, we are all connected. We thank everyone for your presence this evening. If you would like any more information, there are pamphlets available at the reception desk, and we invite you all now to join us for a light dinner. Thank you very much for coming.